Trump plan, the task force plan, allows employers to resume unrestricted staffing in the workplace, phase 3. So again, the first phase, after 2 weeks of a decline in cases. You got 2 weeks where we've had a decline in cases, not deaths, but cases. Urges existing measures to remain in place while allowing certain businesses and gyms to reopen if social distancing is possible, which it is. Second phase, states and regions that have twice satisfied the initial criteria. That would be after 4 weeks of declines in cases. Urges all vulnerable individuals to shelter in place, encourages others to exercise social distancing in public. Non-essential travel can resume in phase 2. Schools can reopen. Large venues, gyms, and bars can operate with social distancing steps in place. And again, the third phase, recommended only for states that have shown no signs of a spike in cases after restrictions are lifted. And this would be essentially after 6 weeks of a decline in cases. Allows public interactions and visits to nursing homes to resume, lets bars and restaurants expand to full capacity. The third phase still encourages people to socially distance when possible, limit their time in large. In other words, continue to behave as you have been trained, as you've been taught here, despite, like, wear masks, keep your distance, even when we get back to near full capacity, phase 3. And in all of this would eventually go by the wayside should there ever become a vaccine. Prior to that, massive upscale testing will go a long way to facilitating the increased speed of adaptation of each of these phases. Pelosi issued a press release on all this, saying the guidelines are too vague, they're inconsistent, and the plan risks further death and economic disaster. The media and the Democrats are just waiting. Predicted yesterday it's going to be this and worse. Just waiting for any negative news after phase 1 begins, and they're going to dump all of it on Trump, which is why it was crucially important that everybody on the task force sign off on these guidelines. These are not Donald Trump, the autocrat, writing his own guidelines and forcing the members of the task force to agree. It's the result of the task force chaired by Vice President Pence meeting, discussing, and eventually arriving at a consensus. You can have a consensus in this task force. So the leadership here, where Catherine and I were talking about, is really impressive. I think the president has done just a marvelous job through all of this. He has navigated through a mess that he never anticipated, that nobody could have ever seen coming. This is why, when people want to talk about polling data months and months out, I always say it's irrelevant. Can't predict things in politics. The unexpected, something that nobody knows is going to happen, going to blow it all up. The classic example is this, the coronavirus. This team, this task force, despite every effort to make it appear ununified and at odds with each other. I mean, how many times did the media try to get Dr. Fauci to dump on Trump? How many times did they get the Scarf Queen to answer a trick question, the answer to which would have been, yeah, this guy's a blithering idiot, and I can't believe I have to stand up here on the same stage. How many times did they try to trick Dr. Fauci, and not even trick? How many times did they go, how many times did they throw Dr. Fauci a softball? Only what they had to do was say, yes, this guy's everything you think he is. He's an absolute embarrassing idiot. Not once did the Scarf Queen or Dr. Fauci go there. There was no breaking in the ranks. There was not one subversive leak throughout, and still hasn't. And the task force is still in existence. I mean, they're still working and still meeting. I think what we've seen here is exceptional. exceptional leadership. No doubt there has been incredible, massive amounts of negotiation behind the scenes. What with all the CEOs that Trump brought in, what with all the private sector people that the president needed to retool to make ventilators and masks and so forth. Imagine the things that we didn't see, and yet look at